Good morning everyone, today we're talking about the 7 dangers of switching to mirrorless cameras. Let's go! That did not work out. Alright guys, hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are in this world, and I hope you're enjoying the summer because it is beautiful out here in Chicago. Now, today I want to talk about switching to mirrorless cameras, because there's a lot of hype coming up with Nikon and Canon announcing their mirrorless cameras, and I thought, hey, since I just switched to mirrorless in January, why don't I share with you the biggest dangers I found about it. Okay, dangerous, a bit clickbaity, it's mainly the warning. So we've got a DSLR right here, we've got a mirrorless right here, we're gonna dig into the 7 warnings, problems that you might encounter with your mirrorless. And guys, if you're lucky enough and you stick until the end, you're gonna be discovering whose place this is, because this is one of the OG photography YouTubers and it's gonna be amazing. We'll talk with him and he'll even answer how to find your style in photography. So let's get right into it. So the first point that is super important, and it's because a lot of marketing will tell you that mirrorless cameras are gonna be tiny and beautiful and all that. Well guys, if you're staying in the realm of full frame cameras, it's not gonna be that small. The body will be smaller. Look, that's a Canon 5D Mark III. That's a Sony a7R III. It is clearly smaller in your hand and all that. It is lighter, but the lenses, because it's just physics, cannot be that small. So here's a comparison of a 70-200 2.8 from Sony for mirrorless, and this is the same lens from Canon for DSLRs. Look at that. Same thing. So if you're thinking of saving a bunch of space and weight, well, don't get your hopes too high because it's gonna be very limited. Yet I still think, look, I mean, there is a huge difference. I still prefer carrying this than that. But the lenses don't get really smaller. It's just optics. You can't really do anything about that. Second thing, guys, is something that prevented me from having a mirrorless camera for a very long time, and it is actually the electronic viewfinders. EVF, if you want to speak like that, it's the opposite of the optical viewfinders that you have on those cameras. It basically means when you're looking into that little guy here, the viewfinder on the DSLR camera, you see straight through the camera with having no electronic interpretation. There is no screen, there is nothing. It's basically you seeing optically as if it was real life. It is real life actually. Now with a mirrorless camera, what happens is when you look into that, it's as if you had a mini television inside, a mini screen that is showing you basically what the camera sees. So it's totally different experience. And that means if the EVF, electronic viewfinder, is not great, then it's gonna look really bad in your screen. You're gonna think everything's like either fuzzy or overexposed or underexposed and pixelated and all that. Nowadays it got a lot better, but I just want to warn you towards that. If you're trying to get an older mirrorless cameras, make sure it is good for you and you won't get confused. Even with that a7R III that I use every day, I still get a little bit tricked on the highlights, meaning I don't really see the sky for what it is. I see the electronic interpretation of the sky, and sometimes I think it's blown out when it's absolutely not blown out, which means I always end up with underexposed photos. That's something to live with. You can look at the histogram if you want, and you can also look at the exposure meter. It's gonna help you a lot to get the right shot, but just keep that in mind. A last little note is also electronic viewfinders are slower than the reality, simply because there is a lag. Your camera has to interpret and show the screen and blah blah blah, do its thing to enable you to see through that camera, right? So if you're shooting sport, until recently, those guys were slow inside. It was slow. You had a little lag between reality and what you were seeing, which can be hugely problematic if you're shooting a crucial sport or action moments. Nowadays, I don't even find the difference between this and that. So that's a pretty cool thing. Wait, actually we're gonna abort the third point on the same note about the electronic viewfinder. It also has another implication. Sorry guys, I'm setting up while we speak. It also has another implication, which is simply that if you don't turn on the camera, you're not able to see what your lens is seeing, which is very problematic if you're shooting at night or if you're trying to save a lot of battery by composing your images before turning on the camera. Now, on a normal DSLR camera, you can simply put it to your eye, no matter what. That camera is totally turned off. I'm not even sure the battery is charged. And you can just compose however you want. You know what you're going to see. You know how you're gonna compose it. Here, if you look through, guys, it is dark. You cannot see anything unless, ta-da, you turn on the camera. So that's how it works. That can be a drawback in some situation. Is it a total deal breaker? It depends on what you do. Again, every camera is different and is going to be different for every photographer. So just keep that one in mind. Warning number 4, guys, is your camera is gonna be super sensitive to the elements. Even more if you're eating with your camera just under, because guys, it's super, oh god. The problem is that since you don't have a mirrorless, because it's mirrorless, wow, I know you learned something today. Here's a mirror on the DSLR camera. What it's going to do, it is actually preventing a lot of dust also to get onto the sensor, which is super practical. Yet on the mirrorless camera, since there is no mirror, well, oops, that there's a under. So since there is no mirror, you are directly on the sensor, and that is something you have to be super careful about because you can ruin your sensor super easily. If you're dropping breadcrumbs on it, that is a real problem. No, I'm just joking. But obviously if you're in the sand dust and you're outside and you're changing your lens, you have to be extra careful because anything that gets into your camera is gonna get straight onto, or it's gonna get stuck in your throat. All right, we're back. It's going to get stuck on your sensor. Not practical. Your sky is gonna look like it's snowing when it's not snowing. Not cool. Also, if you're using object or if you're trying to clean stuff, you have to be extra careful. Never, never, never touch that sensor. Oh, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. All right, we've got still 3 points, but I wanna say if you wanna have the best experience possible ever in the world, in the universe, watching the rest of this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's gonna be insane. Your experience watching this is going to be multiplied by 1 billion, and then you're gonna be able to come with me on the next adventures in tropical islands. Do it right now. I'm just gonna wait while I grab the camera. All right, so point number, what is that now? 5. Okay, everyone subscribed, that's awesome. We just jumped from 10% of people who are subscribed who watch to 100%. Insane. All right, another warning is battery life. Look at that. That has no screen, no electronic, anything. So meaning when you're shooting optically, you use very little battery life. Right here, as I mentioned earlier, you have the electronic viewfinder working all the time, which means that your battery life is going to be reduced compared to those. Yet, the new generations are very impressive. I can shoot the whole day with my A7R III and have no problem of battery. Like, I think I can do a whole day of video and photo and I'm good. I think around the evening I need to swap, but otherwise that's pretty amazing. In the past, you could do like 300 photos. A Digital Rev has a funny video actually from 2015 or 16. A lot better than it used to be. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to explore the tundra and you won't have power for 2 weeks, you might want to bring a lot of batteries with your new camera. I wonder if anyone has commented by now that on the fact that I don't use a studio for a studio purpose, but hey, who cares? Then point 6 and 7 are going to be on lenses, and 6 is simply that the lenses available there are not that many lenses right now on the market. The reason is it's still very new technology. They had to change the adapter ring, which means they had to change the lenses. So even when Canon and Nikon are gonna come up with their new system, mirrorless system, if you're watching in the future and they already did, oh, that's pretty cool. Say hi, leave a comment if you did. Anyway, they have a bunch of very old lenses that are really, really, really good, but they're not gonna be able to go on the new mirrorless models unless you put adapters. So that is something to keep in mind. It's a bit of a warning. The first time I got that Sony in my hands, I thought the adapters would make it seamless, but it was clearly not seamless. The first version, the Sony A7 I, was terrible with the adapters. It was super slow. I hated it. Now we've got the Metabone on the new Metabones with the A7R III and a Canon 24-105. It is a lot faster. It works a lot better, but it is nothing compared to a native lens. Obviously, that's something to consider. If you have to buy a park of new lenses, that's gonna be a lot of money. So yeah, adapters, it's gonna work fine. Maybe don't go shoot action and sports. Just keep that in mind, and I think you'll do marvels. Last warning, point number 7 is gonna be super important if you're concerned about money. So those guys are going to be a lot more expensive nowadays, simply because there is no second-hand option, or it's very scarce because it is a new market. So you can find a bunch of awesome Canon lenses for DSLRs, but kind of zero for Sony or for the next Nikon and next Canon mirrorless. It's gonna cost you maybe a lot more money. You're not gonna be able to find the second hand, but if you use an adapter, that might be a way to save money. Just wanna say the adapters are not that cheap either, so just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's better to use a good old DSLR, save a bunch of money, get your talent up there. I'm just saying, you know.
You got up here.
Oh, well, welcome to PHLEARN. Alright guys, I promised you I would introduce you. This is actually not my seat, this is supposed to be Aaron's seat.
Did you warm it up for me?
I warmed it up for you. Sounds disgusting, right? So if you don't know Aaron, he's got the biggest Photoshop channel on YouTube and you've been at it for 8 years. Can you give us a little studio tour? And a lot of you have asked, well, as a photographer, how do you find your style? First, studio tour, let's start with a little B-roll. All right, that gave you a little glimpse of the beautiful part with the B-roll. I watched Peter McKinnon's B-roll challenge, now I got inspired. That's the truth. Okay, Aaron, what's happening where? Show us.
So behind us you can see this is our kind of living area. We spend a lot of time at the studio and we want to make it as comfortable as possible. So I'm pretty big into plants, so we have kind of a menagerie going on here.
It's like the mini jungle.
We want to be comfortable here, and you know, we do a lot of work on computers and that sort of stuff, which is nice, but it's also nice to take a break and just relax and be comfortable.
So like you're in the jungle.
Exactly.
Do you shoot everything here?
Yeah, so we just moved our setup actually. We were shooting in the middle of the office, but now we're shooting everything here.
You don't remember it's the one when you had the A sign in the background?
There was a big A. Maybe you can put some B-roll in there.
Aaron, yeah.
Rip it from our channel. Yeah, so we just moved our setup here. These are called V-flats.
What do you use it for? Blocking sound or light? Or both?
You know, we use it for reflecting light, so you can see there's windows here. It also just kind of helps, we have a whole working office here with people and they walk around, and this helps me to concentrate on the tutorials when there's a lot going on. It's super helpful. So we have a shotgun mic on a boom. I think it's a Rode NTG3 RE tungsten lights with daylight gels on them, so that helps balance the light as well. You can see this one's in a softbox it's on.
I'm a noob at studio, I didn't use any of your light except that one.
Yeah, hey, you used...
I got a lot to learn.
You got the softbox on.
What do you shoot with?
This is a C100 Mark II. This is what we do most of our stuff on. You can see we run XLR. We run audio into the camera, so from the boom mic we shoot. This is Sound Devices 633, which is a really nice field recorder, and then the computer is hooked into a big battery backup system, so even if we lose power in the building, and this is on battery, and this has an aux battery as well, so even if we cut power in the building, I can still continue to record the tutorial.
Do you want to show us the magic room?
What's the magic room?
With all the gear. Welcome to the magic room. This is the one I was talking about. Okay, Aaron, show us your magic cave.
The magic cave. It's basically just our gear room. We're a working studio, so it's not in perfect order right now, but we can start here. We have dump footage and got a little stabilizer. This is the new Ronin S. We have a charging station here.
Most important.
So we have a charging station here, so AA batteries are on the charge all the time. We've got our Sonys, Fujis, Canons. Everything is basically charging.
Wow, I did not notice.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Damn,
so
that is
we have
well organized.
Always fresh, you know, AA's, memory cards, clamps, scissors.
That's like the real movies.
Yeah, we're we're really in the movies. All kinds of different gaffer tape.
Oh, that's great for a preview. we're gonna pretend we're smashing the DSLR for the mirrorless. It's gonna be great.
Cables. I'm Amazon's favorite customer. Studio lights, accessory, grip options, cameras. A bunch of cameras are in use right now, but normally this is filled with cameras and lenses. Dana dolly, a nice big dolly for camera movements.
All those soft boxes. Oh, wait, what is that?
Yeah,
1 million tripods?
This is where the 98% of the work gets done. That's like 1%.
Yeah, people think like, oh, photographers like so glamorous.
Yeah.
You're always outside on the
The
field.
least cool part of the studio,
Yeah.
but it's where we spend most of our time.
Make out room.
The makeout room, yeah.
It's vacant currently, I'm just saying. Hi Baxter! Well, why don't we go to the most important part?
Here and a coffee
Okay,
shop
Aaron,
here.
I think everyone wants to know by now. How do they find their style?
Oh, how do they find their
Yeah.
style? I asked that question a lot when I was starting out, and
Oh, you did? You asked that
I
question?
asked that question. Yeah.
I
How
remember
do I
thinking
find
about it and asking
a
too.
style, yeah. What I realized is style is just an expression of your personality, and it's something that's already inside of you. It already exists. It's based on your tastes. It's based on what you're into. It's based on how you see the world. And the only way your style will develop is through time and through taking a lot of pictures. And it's something that's going to happen regressively. You'll look back on your photos and say, oh, I guess I kind of do have a style. It's not something you can plan and
I feel like
create.
that. I totally feel like, I'm not sure if I found my style yet, and it keeps evolving.
It
But
will
when I
always
look
evolve.
back, I'm able to look at the 1,000 photos and picture the ones that are very, very close to what I used to create. It's true, it's more like backwards.
Yeah, you'll see it only after time and only going back in the past. And it will evolve, it will change. You know, a few years ago, I really enjoyed doing very heavily Photoshopped composite work.
Yeah.
And these days, I don't do so much of that. I shoot a lot more natural work. Everything that you do, every decision you make, everything that you're interested in, movies, films you watch, you know, those things will wind up influencing the way you see the world, and that will form your style. So if you're looking for how to create a style, just take some pictures and your style will take care of itself.
Take pictures every day for 365 days, spend 2 hours editing per day. It's time
No,
to
I
let
know.
you go, guys, and pretend because we're trying to keep a good image, but after we can make some gin mojitos with blueberries and mandarin. That was pretty. That's for another time, guys. If you like that video, remember, leave it a big thumbs up. Let us know in the comments. First of all, if you think you've found your style, that's a good question, I think. Have you found your style? Do you know what you're creating when you're creating it? And second, are you more into DSLR or mirrorless? That is a big question. What are you shooting with right now? I don't know what you're shooting. You just don't care. I've realized Aaron does not care. It doesn't matter what kind of camera it is. I'm just a gear geek, so yeah, I do have my preferences. And last, guys, go check out Aaron's channel. He's got the best tutorials on Photoshop in the world. Like, if you want to learn anything, first of all, he has a way better voice. You don't get annoyed as much as me if I'm on high energy. It's much more calm, and his shit is really good. So guys, see you in the next episode. Enjoy, and remember, get out there, go shoot, try something different a million times, and you'll get your style. See you guys, bye. That's like the most important tool in the whole studio. Cheers.